Hello, long time no see. Nice to be here again. Sorry for the delay for anyone who actually watches me regularly. But if it makes you feel any better, I have two gifts for you this time. Number one, funny shirt. Number two, Memphis reveal. Hey, buddy. Yeah, you gonna be on that video? You gonna be YouTube famous? You wanna be YouTube famous? No, we don't. My other dog distracted him. She does not want to be YouTube famous. She's never showed up to one of my sessions. Very little interest in my hobbies, that dog. Hey, buddy, you coming back? Hey. Oh, here we go. Oh, hello. Hello. Let me check your ears for yeasties. No yeasties. We're good. Where are you, Maddie? I know you're here. She's shy. Come here. What's this? What's all this? Maddie, come on. Why are you so shy, Maddie? Come here. You're never this shy. Come here. Maddie, come here. What not? Oh. See if I can do this without doing a face reveal. Hey. Yeah. Well, this video's been delayed due to unforeseen circumstances. What? Oh, that's my neck. I need that. And that's my titty. Okay. Alright. There you go. You guys got an eye full of dog. Well, I'm pretty prepared today. I've got my wet palette, my regular palette, my coffee. I even have the mini we're painting. Haha. Yeah, today we're gonna finish up Ahriman. And I think I'm gonna aim to properly finish him completely today. Which means we're gonna start with this flames. Because I want to contrast paint his flames. I want to contrast paint the flames, which means I gotta get a bit of white down first. It might end up being a bit thick. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a hot minute since I recorded, and I actually haven't got anything else done with Ahriman since the last time I was on. Unfortunately, I've been up to my rather impressively sized titties in homework, not homework, which you may confuse due to me being a teacher. I can see how you can make that leap in logic. No, I'm not doing homework, I'm doing homework. Yeah, I've been doing floors in my house, replacing my hardwood floors that were originally here when I moved in with beautiful, high quality laminate flooring. Which some people would call a sin, and I would tend to agree with them. Unfortunately, the previous owners of my house did not take great care of the floor, and while I wanted to restore it, I don't have the time to do it myself, and the cost of doing it, having someone come in and do it, is actually higher than tearing it up and putting down new hardwood floor. So I've opted to go with the unfortunate route of covering it. But at the end of the day, the other side of this argument is, as my dad said, my laminate flooring, at the very least, is not near as expensive. Whereas my hardwood flooring would be very expensive. And I have 2 dogs, and I'll probably always have 2 dogs. I'm just going to zoom this in a little bit for you guys. I'm just waiting the flame here first. And what I'm going to do is contrast paint this after, but I want to get this done now to give it time to dry. I'm using my little speed dry formula on it to give me a little bit less time requirement. On this. But yeah, no, I have 2 dogs, and the unfortunate truth of it is dogs are hell on floors. Ah, damn, that was a good chance to make a pun. They're hell on fours, all fours. There we go. Joke made. No, they're quite hard on floors, so putting down a really nice hardwood floor would cost a lot more. And at the end of the day, I probably wouldn't get the life out of the floor that I would want for what I spent. And believe it or not, even in Canada, a teacher's salary does not make you able to put down new hardwood floors every year. But yeah, so I've been at that for a bit. There were some other complications with it that's made it take longer. Namely, I was also planning to replace all my baseboards. But again, unfortunately, the previous owners put the old baseboards on in what makes sense for the time. They're nailed on with heavy galvanized nails, meaning they're quite troublesome to get off, and I don't think I'm getting them off without damaging the walls pretty severely. And I'm not really in the mood to also redo my drywalling. So I've opted for the far easier, yes, definitely easier, option of sanding down the baseboards that are there now so that I can refinish them. Yes. And all of this has a great, tremendous amount to deal with Warhammer, because if it wasn't for my crippling Warhammer addiction, I could afford all these really nice things. Unfortunately, I do have a crippling Warhammer addiction. So I've got to deal with this on the cheap. Alright, so it's a bit of white on his flame. Like I said, we're going to hit that with contrast paint. Now I'm going to move on to a longer detail brush. Sorry, I got to suck those bristles. Got to suck them bristles. And my Retributor Gold, which I've come to learn is my least favorite color of gold. Or actually, you know what I want to do first? I want to take this brush back out. I wasn't going to do this last time. I actually said I was not. And I promised myself I wasn't. And now that I'm here, sitting here, I'm going to do it. Because I'm smart like that. I'm going to paint the knives on his base. I'm just going to tilt you up a bit because I have a tendency. No wonder I have a tendency to hold it weird. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to do these with a bit of Storm Host. Bit of Storm Host silver. Normally for something like this, what I actually use is Vallejo silver. But I'm pretty sure I've told you guys before, my local game store does Citadel paints. So that's what I do, because I'm here to support them as much as I can. Yeah. So, yeah, the school year's ended. Normally this would be my prime painting time. But next year I'm actually going to get quite the chance to do a bit more, because my school principal approved me doing Warhammer minis with my class for art. So we're going to be painting them for art. And I had actually ordered a bunch of minis online through Fenrir's Workshop. Stormhost Eternals mostly, but also some other AOS models, and one Tyranid Prime to act as a bigger model that I could do and kind of model what needs to be done. But they've been ordered, they arrived, and after they arrived, I learned of a program through the Warhammer community group, and they sent me a bunch of brushes, some Get Started with Warhammer stuff, and if I've counted correctly, 48 minis. Orcs, Stormcast Eternals, Space Marines, and Necrons that I can cover, that I can paint with my class. Given that my school is actually very small, and that my art class consists of a whopping, utterly massive and insurmountable 10 kids, I actually expect these to go quite far. So, I'm really looking forward to it next year. And if anyone in the community is watching this, and they know of any other resources that I can get, let me know. Because while yes, I am biased, I really do enjoy painting Warhammer minis. For art class, I find they're actually really good, because one of the things kids often lose is just technique and thinking of basic things like control and being a bit more measured, knowing when to stop, right? So I found that Warhammer painting these has made me a lot better at the other kinds of arts that I do and teach the kids. And above all of that, my favorite thing about doing it, and the part that makes me really excited, is that even the kids that aren't into Warhammer are going to paint these things, and they're going to be really excited when they get to take them home and that they're theirs forever. So, those are coming along quite nice. So no, I'm super stoked on it. I think it's going to be really fun to do. I am, however, going to be kind today. And now that you've kind of seen what I've done, I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to finish up these spikes, and then I'm going to come back to you. Hello, can you hear me again? I'm back, I think. Yeah. So let me try and get this Citadel paint pot closed. There we go. I just finished up the metal bits. I got a little bit of touch up to do later, but there we go. I finished up the metal bits there. And I also touched up the back of his. There we go. The back of his cowl. I made that gold. I do have to do a couple spot touch-ups with that, but all in all, not the worst. One thing you'll notice, not a lot of great shading on his cape. I don't know if I ever told you this, but Ahriman was my first major character that I bought for 40K. So, he was the first one I painted. Magnus was the biggest one I painted, and I learned a lot painting Magnus because he was so big. But Ahriman was the first one I painted after I got comfortable painting. So he's a lot cleaner than a lot of my original rubrics, but he's still far from perfect. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to try and fill in the base there, those little magic markers. What I'm going to use is this stuff here, Vallejo Game Color Agua Marine. I'm actually going to thin it down quite a bit. Vallejo's already pretty thin to start, so I don't need to do a ton with it, I don't think. But I do want it pretty runny for what I'm about to do. Okay. Alright. What's the worst that could happen? Okay. I might want a bigger brush. Oh yeah. This is definitely a little counterintuitive. But instead of going light, I actually pick up a ton of paint. Nice that I really thin it down. But what I want is that as soon as I touch the model, I want the paint to just flow off. And into those recesses, right? I'm not so much painting as I am using the brush as a wick and kind of just depositing paint. Kind of just depositing paint into these recesses. I thinned it down quite a bit so that when it dries, it shouldn't fill them up too bad. But this has been my strategy for doing these kind of things. This is how I did it on Magnus as well. Because I see some people. Ooh, I need more light. I should change my angle here. I see some people freehand this stuff quite well. I am not quite steady-handed enough to do that. So this is what I came up with. It's basically turning my paint into an ink. Right, is really what I'm doing. I'm thinning down my paint so much that I'm giving it the same properties as or similar properties as an ink. You still have to be careful because you still can paint outside your intended area. You can still kind of overfill stuff. It's not perfect. It's not nearly perfect. But if you're like me and you struggle to do this really fine detail work, like these recessed areas, this is what I do. If you're curious, it's also how I do that back of the heads of my Thousand Sons as well. But yeah, basically, that's all I'm doing. Like, you see how it's just kind of deposited there in a glob? I get that to happen. And then what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to use my brush. And I can, more so again than painting, I'm just kind of pushing the liquid around. Like I said, it just requires a little less steady hands than normal for doing this really kind of fine stuff. I mean, all you kind of got to do is get the tip in there. It just does make life a little bit easier. That being said, if you are someone who can do this, change the angle of my light here real quick. If you're someone who can do this freehand, all the power to you. I really do admire that kind of skill. It's not one it's not one I have. Now you can also treat this kind of like a contrast paint in a lot of ways, because right now you see I just have a bit too much in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean my brush off and just wick away the paint. Okay. That's not the best line there. Yeah, sometimes when you're doing a lot of the stuff after the fact, it's just about trying to find the proper angle of attack. All right. Now there's a little bit of prettying up that I need to do here, because just by the nature of how I did this, it tends to run, right? So I have a couple spots that are going to need a little touch up. That is okay. There. And that's his disc painted in. Yeah, I do, it's not perfect, but the back of the heads of the Thousand Suns, I find, it's so hard to get a brush in there. This is what I came up with. I have a little bit of black Vallejo ink that I usually use to do the inside of the thrusters to kind of make them look sooty. And that's what I started using that on. And then I kind of got the idea from there. All right. Now I'm not going to do a lot of that touch-up work in this video. That'll be a later one. Actually, that probably won't even be a video, because this is all about finishing Ahriman. Now, a couple choices I'm making with my guy. In his official art, this skull is bone. I am leaving it gold. I like the gold. I'm going to let this be bone, but I am going to leave that gold. Which brings me to the bone. I also think, in hindsight, I can admit to you guys an error I've made. When I did his, I put a little bit of Gilliman on the, up here. I did it from the outside in, and in hindsight, I should have did it from the inside out. But hindsight's 20/20. You always make those mistakes. If you want to fix your own, you just, go on your own later, right? And you paint it back over. It's no big deal. All right, but that's an error I made. Or I shouldn't say an error. It feels like an error. If I had my time back, I would do it different. But I also kind of don't care enough to fix it. Right? So at the end of the day, it's not that big a mistake. Alright. Now, so I'm going to do these guys over with a coat of bone and let them be skulls. He's got another one. This is actually one of my favorite paints I'm using right now. I use it in place of a lot of colors. This is Vallejo Bone. Bone white. Vallejo bone white. I use it in place of anywhere where I would normally use white as a color that shows up on a model. I tend to use this instead. I just like the way the kind of cream white looks more than regular white. Again, that is an aesthetic choice. You are entitled to your own aesthetic choices. That works for me. I don't know if you can hear my dog snoring. Let's just put him on blast on the internet. He stopped snoring now that I've pointed it out. He's gaslighting me. Memphis, are you gaslighting me? You being a gaslighter? My dog has literally, not sarcastically, literally hundreds of toys. But because I'm in here, he will be in here until I leave. That's just the way he is. If I left, like I've done it before where I've been sick and I have gone to bed early, he will also go to bed early. I could be in bed at 6 o'clock And he will be right there with me the whole time. He's a really, really loyal boy. Sometimes I'm like, my God, Memphis, please stay up. Like, go out, play with your toys, play with your sister. Like, you know, you don't have to be with me at all times. Right? But he is who he is. He's a fantastic guy. He's a very, like I said, very loyal dog. For most of his life, it has just been me and him. I rescued him when he was about 4 months old. And I was told he was going to be about 60 pounds. Well, 60 pounds was 40 pounds ago. And I was told, yeah, man, get a rescue dog, get a mutt. They will never have any health problems. Let me tell you, this dog has had so many health problems. I probably shouldn't say this on the internet, but I think it's fair enough in the video. It's probably fine. We just paid $90 for the vet to tell us his penis is too big. Every now and then his penis will get stuck out. And we couldn't figure out why it started happening suddenly. And the vet told us that, his schlong has gotten bigger. Probably due to an incident where he broke it at some point. I never complained about it. And yep, now my dog is too hung. Too hung for his own good. And as I'm paying this vet $90 to tell me my dog is too hung, he looks at me and he says, yeah, his penis got bigger. Sometimes, the dream comes with consequences. And I just shit my pants laughing. You know what? I'm going to bust out a bit more bone while you bring these on that bag. Where's the other brush one? There it is. Yeah. So anyway, that's my dog. He's a good boy. He is a good boy. 10 out of 10 would recommend, but he's not for sale. Now, my other dog is also a rescue, Madison. She's I guess the term would be foster fail. Kind of. I lived in an isolated, I shouldn't say isolated, but I lived in a semi-isolated community. And the treatment of dogs in that community is not quite what it is where I live now. One of the reasons I joked I had to leave was because I'd end up with so many dogs. But I caught Madison. She'd almost starved to death. She was so skinny. She's the same height she is now. Now she's 40 pounds. At the time I took her, she was only 17. She was all skin and bones. There was no real meat to her. I was driving by and I saw her. And I saw how thin she was. I took her. I just picked her up. Now, as it turns out, the RCMP had already found her at one point and tried to find an owner for her, and no one would say they owned her. But she had gotten away from them. So they were like, yeah, no one owns her, or at the very least, no one claims they own her. So I was like, okay, very good. So I took her, and she was supposed to go down south. That was where she was going. 1 second, as I walk away. She was going down to a shelter. I was just holding her long enough to get her there. Come on, Screamer Pink. I was just going to hold her long enough to get her there. That was it. Unfortunately for me, there was a big rescue effort that week. God, I don't use Screamer Pink very often. Just for these cloaks. There was a big rescue effort that week, so most places, most rescue organizations ended up not having any space available for a new rescue. So they wouldn't take her. So I had to hold on to her for some extra time just to see when a spot opened up for her. And that ended up being about a month. And by that time, she was part of the family. I lived in a duplex, and my neighbors had recently left to have a baby. And my dog, who was always used to having... We shared a yard, right? That was the other part I should have told you. Me and my neighbor shared a yard. We basically fucking lived together. I was over there every day. Memphis was over there every day. Well, they had left. My dog had never really been alone. Was kind of getting depressed. All he did was eat, poop, and sleep. That was it. But when we got her, he kind of livened up and was happy and exciting and outgoing again. So I opted to keep her. I opted to keep her, let her stay. Okay. Now. Oh, that reminds me. I'd taken something down. Where did I put it? 1 second. Here it is. I'm just going to do this quick. This actually has very little to do with Ahriman. This is just a test that I am doing myself. Oh, it's a layer paint, that's why. I just want to try something out on the side real quick. Alright. So, I've got him kind of done in. The last thing I need to finish up with him. Ooh, I gotta do some pipes and stuff too, actually. I can save that till after. You guys don't care about the pipes, right? Frost hearth. Come on. Come on. Oh my god. For his flame effect here, I did some Tesseract Glow, Frost Hearth, and Briar Queen Chill. But what I think I'm going to do for this one is I'll use this one. What I think I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to try and get some purple in there. But first, I just kind of want to see how they combine. I know for a fact this Luxion purple I have to thin down first. Normally I would do that with some contrast medium, but I'm out of contrast medium. And I've put this off for so long that today I'm in the mood to do it. So we're going to thin it down with some fucking water. Sue me. Now, I do have, if I can find it, the thing I used for doing this. Give me 1 second, I'm actually going to pause this. Alright, and we're back. This is something I don't know of any, well, I shouldn't say I don't know, I hope you guys probably have it. Lots of people probably do it. It's not just me, I would assume. This is a regular, cheap, Dollarama, dollar store palette. I primed it in Gray Sear a couple years ago, but I use it to mix paints when I need to do actual mixing. And what I like to do is just take it, you can see this is where I made my girlfriend's Necrons paint. Take it, and then just paint it. And that's it, that's all there is to it. Just a coat of white scar on it. Now, while that's going, I've also got this little side hustle going, which I just based with a bit of bone. Specifically so that I can then cover it with white scar. Have the white scar actually stick. So this isn't one for me per se, but I had a friend tell me that they had watched a video that said that a thinned down coat of Frost Hearth on top of a white makes my exact color of Thousand Suns blue. So I said, well, I'm going to be working with frost hearth today anyway. Fuck it. Let's try it. Alright. It needs to dry a little bit. We're going to be a little quick today. I'm not super concerned about it looking all that good. Just put on another coat really quickly. We're going to let that dry. Now, the reason I do this is because, like I said, I want to mix some of these contrast paints together with contrast paints I haven't mixed them with yet. So this will allow me to mix them on a plastic surface, get a rough idea for how they look, and then I can go ahead and try it and try some different combinations. While that's going on, I'm just going to pause the video and catch you back in a second. Hey, so this video is actually getting kind of long. I'm actually going to split this into a part 1 and then a part 1.5. So I'm going to end it here, and then I'm going to upload another video a little later where I finish the contrast painting. But this is what we have. If it'll focus. This is my nearly finished Ahriman. Like I said, I've just got to do some contrast painting and some shading on the guy. I'm not doing anything underneath the fucking disc. He's going to sit like this. No one's going to see it. Save yourselves this time, effort, and sanity. Don't. Yeah, this is my guy. Also, I just realized, Ahriman, big dirty nipples. Look at those things. Anyway, on that note, have a good day. Hope you enjoy your weekend. Hope you're enjoying your summer. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one and all the regular YouTube begging.